Hey guys, what's up? It's Dave. I'm going to do market analysis for the week, so let's get into it. Over here, per usual, I have everything organized by what closed up on the 5-day, basically, highest. So firstly, we have XLC looking strong. We have a nice downtrend that it was broken. We had a nice level break here of this $90 area, and we have some continuation. So we'll see if we get more continuation or if it wants to pull back. Otherwise, it does look like it does want to test when, I don't know. But we certainly have a test of the 103 highs looking like it wants to come on in here, coming up soon. GLD, gold looking interesting. Actually, you know what? Let me click on the weeklies here. Gold retesting those highs there. We will see what happens if it wants to break out or if it wants to give a little pullback and a buying opportunity. XLV, we have a nice pullback kind of to this this prior resistance level, 137. Now we are back above this 142. We are still downtrending there in XLV, but we got a nice strong push off last week. XLF looking pretty strong, so huge bullish engulfing candle last week, and we have some rest this prior week. You can see highs are still holding, and it's just trending up. It likes to respect the 20 EMA here, and we can see we got another nice strong push off of that 20 EMA, and just continues to roll. XLP, kind of still retesting this prior resistance area. We'll see, you know, it undercut it a little bit, but it kind of just chopped around this zone here. And let me show you what I'm talking about. So kind of find support where those prior bottoming tails were, right? So it tagged that, and now we're back above this resistance area, about 77.50 or so. And we'll continue to see if it wants to give a nice strong bounce, maybe a little pullback to set a higher low somewhere around here. And then maybe it gets its legs to get going. But for now, things are still downtrending, creating lower highs and lower lows in XLP. RSP, the average weighted, equally weighted, S&P 500. We got a nice breakout, retest, strong push off of it. It broke this 3-week consolidation. I'm going to switch to the daily chart here because I do think this is an overall important chart to look at. So what I was looking at personally was this level here. It kind of chopped around that. It didn't really respect it very much. It kind of had like a mind of its own, in my opinion. That's how I saw it. But what it did do is created a range itself between this 173.50 and 178 basically, and it just bounced in between. On the 13th, it undercut that, lack of selling, strong move in. So this is a look below and fail setup. The opposite end target of the range, that is target. So 178 wasn't the target. It hit that target. It held above that target, and then it even moved higher. And then last week, you know, we had Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, basically kind of create a small-term, short-term range. Friday broke those highs. Price failed to accept higher. And so what I would be looking at for the overall market is maybe a little bit more chop sideways into this week, starting this week, or even a little pullback to, I don't know, 180-ish maybe 178. I don't know, but some sort of pullback to fill in this gap here. It'd be pretty deep if it wants to pull back and retest this. It'd be some strong selling. However, it would still create a higher low versus this 172. So whatever happens, this downtrend here is broken. And so any pullbacks at this point in time, how I see it, is viable. So that's kind of the mindset I am in. Let's go to the Dow. Downtrend again. It looks pretty similar to the RSP, but again, downtrend on the daily here. It is indeed broken. A higher high, especially relative to this, has been made. So if you want to go look at the weekly here, strong push off, and it looks like we're going to go start retest the highs. SPY, similar look, just strong push off with a little bit of rest week last week. well, not really. We had a nice push last week. I lied. RSP was more of like a 3-day, 4-day resting in a way. But you can see here this 575 level held. And you can see how it just kind of ranged, right? So this is this weights the average movements of the big seven: Tesla, Amazon, Google, Apple, all those names. And so those names mostly move the SPY, not necessarily RSP. XLI, a nice push off. Okay, you can see that a good majority of these, especially on the daily and the weekly, we have a nice push last week with a little bit of a higher push this week. And so when the weeks, when are we going to get some rest? XLRE looks pretty interesting, right? Reverse head and shoulders. Real estate, nice bullish engulfing candle prior week, and then last week we had a little push higher. So what I would be looking for in XLRE is that level there. You can see it acted as prior resistance here, acted as support here. So we'll see if we get more supply from all of these quote-unquote trapped longs. There's just a lot of buyers up here that are looking for an opportunity to get out with less of a loss or get break even. And so if these guys want to step in, bids will probably draw them out, and we could potentially see a lower low. However, if price accepts back into this range, this 142 to 46, call it, sorry, not 142, 42 to 46, opposite end target would be, opposite end range would be target, similar to the RSP. And so this is just a deeper pullback, but we got a little bit more time in a bullish engulfing candle there. So slight nuance difference, but similar concept. The Qs looking strong, pushing, breaking that down trend line. Again, looking for, this is just a nice flag. I mean, I don't know if it gets much nicer than that. This is just a beautiful bull flag. Basically, it undercut the 50 SMA a little bit. But everything's inclining, and so it just looks good. Overall market, XLK, holding in its highs, has a lot of topping tails here, but we'll see if it wants to break that. XLY, creating higher lows. XLU, back in this range, so undercut, fail, opposite end. I'd say 82 is target there. You created a couple of look below and fails. I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is kind of the range, this 82.20s or so, and this 77.50 or so. Undercut that, it failed to go lower. Now price is back in the range. So what I was saying was XLRE. If we want to look at XLRE, maybe we can compare it to what could potentially happen is if price gets back into here, just like, what was it, just on XLU, just like XLU did, and accepts in there, opposite end range is target, especially with this range that it created. This was look above and fail, opposite end range is target here. That end range was, let's call it that right there, the 77-ish level. XLB, hitting a potential supply area. Otherwise, if it accepts back in here, we don't get any further downside. I can see 93 being a target. UNG, I wonder if this is still looking interesting. It's still getting kind of tight. Nice rounding bottom, still kind of flagging, chopping sideways, letting the short-term EMAs catch up, letting that long-term 50 SMA kind of flatten out to potentially curling upwards. We'll see what happens long-term here. And then XLE, looking at that weekly, still a lot of chop. However, I don't know, chopping sideways. This 93 level continues to be a hindrance. All right, moving on to ETFs. I did the same thing, organized it to who closed strong in the 5 days, basically. So who had a weekly, strong weekly close. And here's China, right? China bullish engulfing candle last week, and we had some follow through this week. EEM, Emerging Index Fund, bullish engulfing candle. This is still kind of in the downtrend here, so that looks interesting. Another China, look at that bottoming tail. Geez, it even undercut the prior 2 weeks and did nothing but get bought up. So, China names might be pretty strong, might be of interest in these upcoming retail here. breakout and retest. So XRT names might be pretty interesting to look at, especially with that look on a weekly candle itself. XRT FXI and basically KWEB, so just China names, and then retail. Let's see, IYH. Looks interesting. RSP already got it. Let's go XBI. What's biotech doing? Still chopping around, bullish engulfing, lowish volume. I don't know. This might have some work to do yet. URA. That is it created a higher low, so that's nice. Uranium names, that is. And so maybe, we want to get, maybe we get a little additional push to the upside here. Tags that, comes back down, gets tight, and then breaks out. Looks like it still needs some work, though. I don't know what names are in URA off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure I have a list of them, though. IYR, kind of failed that flag. IAT, nice little breakout of this kind of ascending triangle. What is that, regional? Oh yeah, banks are looking pretty decent. Let me show what I'm looking at here. So there's that. So obvious resistance here at, let's call it 49. And we have an ascending triangle. So buyers are coming in early and earlier and creating compression. It breaks out, it retests it, it holds it for 1, 2, 3. And then on the fourth week, we have a nice push up. We have some momentum upwards, and then we hit supply. Where do we hit supply at? Let's see. Before we even look left, let's just tag that. Where do we hit supply? If I can zone out. It's going to let me zone out. Is it frozen? That's a bummer. There we go. Yeah, look at that, right? So similar area, prior supply. I can just drop that down and be a little bit more accurate. And so we found supply where we most likely had chances of finding supply. Now maybe we bounce around in this range, but either way it retested this breakout area. And now we have a resistance to support flip. So IAT, regional banks, might be interesting to look at themselves. Let's go silver. Let's see what that has to offer. I don't know. I don't trade silver very much. What about SMH? Of course, you got to look at SMH, right? Again, a topping tail. It's just in this range, and it's having a really hard time breaking out of the range and holding in the range. It needs some sort of catalyst, I would think, to actually kind of give it some, I don't know, give it a reason to go higher. But there are some pretty obvious names in this space that will be leaders, right? So I would look into those if I were you. TAN, I think TAN was getting some talk, but this is just downtrending. It's just bleeding. It continues to bleed. I don't know if it's going to find a bottom anytime soon. We shall see. Stocks, similar to SMH, right? Jets, this has been strong. I am in some Jets names. I'm in ULCC, and then I think UAL looked pretty decent this week. However, this consolidation here broke topping tail on volume. I don't know if this is kind of the end of this run here, but it did give a little rest. Let the 10 SMA or EMA catch up there. Found supply at a similar area prior to, right? So pretty close to it. Maybe it gives it some rest, or maybe we get a push higher after, if nobody else wants to sell there. So we shall see. I think lithium looked interesting. Nice push off, potential higher low here. If that low holds from the prior week to last week, so this green bar here, nice little rest week, low volume. So I'd be curious if it wants to, I'm going to set a price alert actually. I'd be curious if it wants to break those highs. So LIT, some names in there might be interesting to look at. Let's see, XOP, gas and oil exploration. I don't trade these very much. OIH, I think this was interesting a few weeks ago. USO, and then I think KI, USO is bopping up. Insurance, KIE. Bullish engulfing, rest week. I'd be curious if it wants to break these prior highs. So I don't know. I don't know if you guys are familiar with like a quote unquote 3-bar play. It's a common like trade setup. First bar is a large green bar on volume. The next bar is a rest bar. On low volume, it doesn't retrace 50%. And then the third or the fourth bar, and this also doesn't break this high. This may have broken that high, but it's pretty close. The setup comes in on the third bar or the fourth bar, where price breaks these highs and the stop loss goes below that second resting bar, or the third if it's a 4-bar breakout. Either way, so that could be a potential. We shall see. All right, so that is overall market look over. Looking over a lot of my names, there are a ton of names that are looking good. There are a lot of base breaks, breakouts. There's also some retests of those breakouts setting up, and there's also some names that are running too extended, but I will be looking for a potential pullback in those names. I'll make a quick video on kind of what I'm looking at next. All right, stay safe, manage your risk. Again, expectations for this week, anticipation, I would anticipate some rest, some chop sideways, or maybe even a little bit of a potential pullback to maybe retest this like 600 level or so. You know, it'd be healthy to do that. So we shall see. Stay safe, manage your risk. Later.